Resistances and obstacles to progress. Every business leader seems to have to deal with these on a daily basis, but where do these really come from? Why is there resistances to growth and expansion? Why is there obstacles? And we can blame the environment and circumstances, but in real actual fact, we have to look at the source of those. And usually they exist in ourselves, in leadership. That leadership has resistances and obstacles to evolving and growing themselves as the basis for growing and evolving the business. And it's easier said than done, but it's actually simpler than we think. Because at the end of the day, in order to grow, we have to have better awareness. And by having better awareness, we can correct things even before they arise, problems and resistances before they arise, and therefore enliven the outcome in a lot better way, just because we have that awareness. And so this is something we've experienced with a number of CEOs that are trying to create extraordinary value and have created extraordinary value in the world. That, for example, one of our leaders we work with, that he had grown a company from 8 million to 1 billion and then got stuck. He couldn't figure out why his deals weren't working anymore after so many years of success. And we started working with him. Actually, no, this was at the end of that year. And then he just stopped with us. But I've had enough of this experience. I want to see if I can just do this on my own. And then 5 months later, we check in with him and find that he's very troubled, very frustrated why his deals aren't working. And we actually left him with a question, because he actually won CEO of the Year that year in his country, as to why he won the award. And he wasn't able to answer that. And so finally we let him in that, hey, if you want to evolve to the next level, then you have to have a higher purpose and evolve and develop yourself and those around you to have better awareness. And so he asked if we could continue working, so we did. The company grew to 3 billion. And then another hurdle arose where he wanted to double the size of the company through reverse merger acquisition. So the company went from 3 billion, would go from 3 billion to 6 billion in value. But the major shareholders around him didn't see it. They didn't believe that he could pull it off because he'd never done anything like that before. And so he was stuck, even though he had this vision of where the company could go and had to grow. And so he wasn't sure what to do. So we started to realize that they weren't saying no to his idea, they were saying no to him, that they didn't think he had the capacity to pull such a thing off. And so we went to work, rather than debating the major shareholders about it intellectually, which may or may not go anywhere, that he had to own that reality he wanted to create in his awareness more clearly, more coherently, so that belief and trust he could infuse into the shareholders who are given the yes or no whether he could go forward, and that they would also align with him. So we did that in a few weeks, represented that, supported the language expression of that, and the shareholders said yes, let's do it, because they could see that he owned that reality so clearly and coherently. And so then the next thing was making the deal work. Long hours, tight time frames, typical big deal scenario, many possibilities the deal could fall apart. Yet he said to us in the middle of it, he felt like he was the eye of the storm. He was completely calm and completely relaxed. And that's because he was the center. He had established in his awareness so clearly the reality he wanted to create, and everything was getting organized around that. And so the deal did fall into place, and the company grew by 100% because of his ability to see that vision and build the trust and belief to make it happen. And this really comes from consciousness. And it's not so much an IQ or EQ thing, but it's supported by those levels of intelligence. But it's really the consciousness that brings the vision into the awareness to allow the IQ and the EQ to go to work and fulfill it. So we've created a program where we want more leaders to have this value of consciousness in their leadership, so that they can go to the next level, whatever that next level is for them, and create extraordinary value that they want to create for their organization, for their market, for their industry. And we've created this group on school.com, and the group is called Consciousness Billionaire. So if you're interested in really being a consciousness billionaire that creates that extraordinary value, then check it out, go there. If you've got any questions, just reach out to me. But all the information's there on what the program's about. It's a 30-day program, and very, very powerful boost for any leader looking to create extraordinary value.